All right, everyone. The left-wing revolt within the Democratic Party is fundamentally toothless at this point. You see, Marcia Fudge, who was going to try to be Pelosi's replacement, she's knelt down and kissed ring over the fact that she endorsed someone who later was on trial for murder. I think a convicted murderer at this point. So yeah, that could be problematic. Having endorsed a convicted murderer for office, not necessarily the greatest career move. Plus, they never had the votes anyway to unseat Pelosi. They had a minority within the Democratic House that would have stood against, I think, what was it, like 40 or 50 people. Now, that's not enough. It is enough, though, to accomplish what needed to be accomplished, which is the Democratic Party right now is in havoc. It's in complete disarray. The Pelosi Democrats don't want to deal with platform creation by the far left because they know it'll lose. It'll lose them a lot of voting blocks. They're the big corporate candidates. The corporations are going to fly off the handle if they actually endorse actual leftism. They're lamestream neoliberals. They're no different from the neocons that used to control the Republicans and still are vying for control now. They're on their way out, but they've still got a lot of the money. There's a reason why in the wake of the populist upsurging of the Trumpites within the Republican Party, all of those corporations started piling on the Democratic ticket and giving Hillary Clinton to the tune of over $1 billion of corporate cash injections, many times more than Trump ever raised or spent. There's a reason for that, because they support neoliberalism and neoconservatism. It's essentially vaguely globalistic. It's vaguely interventionistic. There's kind of a free market element, but only for big corporations that are already there. They want to keep their money, their wealth, and their power. They don't want smaller upstarts. They don't want alt media. They don't want alt tech. They don't want mom and pop stores or some dude in his garage to go Bill Gates mode and build a successful business. They want their old stagnant dead wood style businesses to clutter up the economy forever. The Walmarts and the Sears and all that bullshit. So here's the thing. Nancy Pelosi is reigning right now. And she'll be speaker. She's reigning over a party that is fractured, fundamentally. Roughly a fifth or so of the party is comprised of people who don't like neoliberalism. They're actually on the left. They range from social democrats to actual socialists, the vague difference between them being largely unremarkable. You might as well say, well, there's a difference between neoliberals and neoconservatives. Okay, yeah, there's a slight doctrinal difference. Not on anything that really matters, though. Fucking who cares whether the tax rate's going to be 50% or whether it's going to be 55% for a little more welfare or something like that? Who gives a fuck? We already don't own the means of production in most states because there's a property tax. People think that we're a hyper-capitalistic nation. Capitalism is responsible for their problems. Go to Texas and tell me how many problems there are. No. Then you go to a state like Vermont. Then you see real problems with a high tax model, lots of taxes and regulations and fucking shit on everything. Nancy Pelosi has backed her enemies down, but that doesn't mean that they disappear. They're still in the House. Now, the problem being that they're not going to be willing largely to work with a cinema, oddly enough, immediately saying, oh yeah, maybe I'll work with Trump. She probably would rather work with if she's got any sense, she'll work with the Republicans instead of the Democrats in the House and in the Senate. It'd make more sense, ultimately. Pelosi, though, she's already reigned over the House majority back when the Democrats, the last time they had a House majority. What did she do? What did Nancy Pelosi manage to accomplish in the years that she was in control, basically, of the majority in the House? But fuck nothing, except some obstruction and being basically running roughshod over anyone in her party who tried to deviate from the neoliberal line. She's just a corporate pawn, dude. And it's going to be very funny over the course of the next couple of years, watching her slowly slip into insanity, which she's already a little bit demented, let's face it. It's going to be very funny to see her alienate the younger voters, probably alienate the business Democrats. Those two groups will become more, Republican or go third party, weakening the Democrats. As a result of that, because of the alienation, the schism will grow. It's not going to go away. It's not like disaffected groups leave the party and then leave the party alone. No, they'll continue to fight it from both the in and outside. Pelosi could end up getting forced out of the position even after getting appointed to it, simply because she makes too many mistakes. And that's probably what she'll end up doing. And this is exactly what I said would happen if the Democrats retook the House. There would be a schism. It would be very, very evident that there's a schism. But Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and all these people, they don't have the votes to actually stop the neoliberals. All they can do is harangue from within the party, like when she says, hey, I'm at war with the Democrats. I think all of them should be primaried. They don't want to be primaried. Oh my God, what are you doing? Think of political strategy. We got to beat the GOP. The thing is, these are younger, idealistic individuals. They're not pragmatists. They're idealists. They don't give a fuck whether they crash and burn the Democratic Party. It's going to be very, very funny come 2020 and also 2022, I think. It's going to be hilarious. It's fucking hysterical to watch what happens within the Democratic Party. Now, if I had to take a best guess, I'd guess that ultimately the neoliberals will semi-reform, bring the business Democrats back on board, make it clear there's no place for far-left politics in the Democratic Party. Those people will end up alienated, and they'll form basically a rough counterpart to offshoot GOPers forming the 4 or 5% basis for the Libertarians as a third-party movement. It'll simply be Green Party members, or maybe a Social Democrat movement offshoot. So like 10% of the voting public will be supporting other parties, maybe a little more, maybe less, depending on the election and who's being elected, what positions are up, especially in the Senate. Is it an off election, a midterm, or is it a main election with the president up for grabs? Who's running? What's the platform? What are the issues, the national focuses of the day? Is it some war going on? Is it the border? Is it taxation? A recession? It really does matter. So we'll see what happens over the next couple of years, but it's going to be very interesting. And Nancy Pelosi is already specifically, before even technically getting into that post, will be the most embattled person to hold the post in a very, very long time of House Majority Speaker. That's about all. Peace out.